I started training Muay Thai maybe a couple months after I moved to LA, and then moved to Asia with my business partner, Luke, and started fighting there. I ended up retiring in 2016 and starting this business, but that was my prior life, was professionally fighting.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to LED. This is Leadership with Ed, co-founder and partner at McGill-Jungie Wealth Management. On today's show, we're going to be speaking with the great Emily Griffin, and in October, she is one of our highlights of October's Women-Owned Business Month. And so it's fun to see, and we'll talk about her business. That does show up right on her website, that this is a woman-owned business. So we love highlighting some of these great young entrepreneurs and professionals that are coming up through the ranks. So this will be fun. First, I want to thank everyone that's joined us during this inaugural season of LED on YouTube, Apple Music, and Spotify. We drop every other Wednesday morning, just bright and early. And now I'd like to introduce everyone to Emily Griffin. How are you doing today, Emily?
Hey, good. How are you? Thanks for having me. This is so fun.
It is going to be fun, and to get an hour out of a busy entrepreneur schedule is always challenging. So we appreciate you making the time, on this. And since a lot of people would not be aware of who you are, we'll spend time on the company in a minute. But Emily has this great background of going to Grand Rapids Community College in fashion merchandising. She studied at the Regent's University in London. For some reason, she ended up at Tennessee in the UT Institute of Agriculture in Tennessee. Tell us a little bit about Grand Rapids to start there, fashion, agriculture. We'll spend some time about LA, but how do we get here today, Emily?
My background is anywhere near close to what I'm doing now, so it's really unique. Born and raised in Grand Rapids. Left Grand Rapids at the age of 18. I did finish my degree at community college here in Grand Rapids. And then I headed out to LA, where I went to FIDM, which is the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising. So I finished my degree in fashion marketing and merchandising there. And then from there, I moved to London and finished my business degree, International Business Affairs at Regent's Business School in London. From there, as far as education goes, I ended up at UT in Tennessee because of where I am now. So for food production and manufacturing, my business partner, Luke, and I both got our degrees in food manufacturing and processing.
So you went from fashion design to food, and now you have this great company, Brewts, which we'll talk about. But when you're out in LA, it was fun to be on your on LinkedIn. It said styling assistant, specializing in celebrities' men's wardrobes on that side. So after fashion school, you're helping dress. Obviously not me, because I'm a bad dresser. Before she got on here, she goes, "You're not really wearing that, are you?" And I said, "Yeah, come on, it's the McGill-Jungie's vest-like thing that she laughed at, which is fine, nothing wrong with that." But tell us a little bit about being in LA. How exciting was that? Was it challenging, enjoyable?
Yeah, first of all, I need one of those vests. I love them. So.
Oh, there we go. Kim, you heard that. We got to get her the McGill-Jungie garb.
But no, being in LA changed my life. Honestly, it's what has brought me to the point that I am at now. I don't think I'd be where I am if it weren't for LA. It completely changed my outlook on life. Growing up in like a small town in Michigan, it's diverse, but it's nothing like LA. And that it really just brought life into my soul, to be honest with you. I never felt more alive until I moved to LA. It's my second home, but really truly in my heart, it almost feels like my first.
Oh, wow.
Fashion school was amazing to me. I had the greatest experience at FIDM. The instructors, the professors were amazing. From there, I started working for a celebrity stylist, and she specialized in menswear, which really was my specialty in fashion school, was menswear. I really gravitate towards tailoring and men's fabrics, and really just menswear in general was really my specialty. It's really the industry that I wanted to get in. So I started styling for celebrity men underneath her. kind of took that on my own a bit, started styling independently, still underneath her, but really kind of on my own. And I really took it on I loved it. It was something I felt like I was really good at, and I loved doing it. It just like the trajectory of life and going into finish my degree in London is really kind of what stopped that. And also my whole other career, which I was starting, which was in martial arts, which
Yeah,
is
tell us
crazy
about
to
how you
think.
moved to kicking ass. You're not real big, but then you started doing
Yeah.
Muay Thai coaching and fighting professionally, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I started training in LA when I was there, still in school, still in fashion school, kind of as a hobby. And what was a hobby kind of quickly turned into a profession and an addiction, to be honest with you. I started training Muay Thai maybe a couple months after I moved to LA, and really just built my career up really quickly in that, and kept training when I was in London. And then moved to Asia with my business partner Luke, and started fighting there. When I kept fighting professionally when I moved back to LA from Asia, and really just took the profession on. It just took over me. It was my whole entire life. So I ended up retiring in 2016 and starting this business. But that was my prior life, was training, personal training. I was really heavy into nutrition consulting and professionally fighting for years.
So when you go to Brewts' website and you see Emily on the couch there, that and Muay Thai fighting do not go hand in hand, because you're just as sweet and nice as can be. But that's, you can't judge that book. She can still cross body block you. And I don't see a lot of visible scars. So were you good? You avoided some of the damage and stuff. And I take it you won a number of those matches?
Yeah, so the damages really started to take a toll, to be honest with you, which is why I ended up retiring. It's just the industry is not made, there's no longevity really in the industry, and the longevity that you do see in it is kind of taxing, and you see things start to break down. And I really wanted something, I really wanted something to fall back on, not to fall back on, but to be a part of. And being an entrepreneur is embedded in me. I come from a family of entrepreneurs. I come from very successful parents that have done it. And I knew that's where I wanted to go. Everybody I had ever worked for in my life, I felt like I could do it and do it better. And I know that's a really arrogant thing to say, but I just felt like any business that I became a part of, I was like, how do I create something that's so much bigger and better for the people that I work with, and also for myself? And it just, like I said, it inherently kind of runs through my blood.
So now that leads us to, and she said she has to send me more samples because they have way
You have
more.
old product.
I have old
Don't show
product. Okay, sorry, but Brewts, Margarita, and then also Bloody Mary. Tell us two things. So you're sitting there, Muay Thai, you're at Muay Thai fighting, you're in LA, you're there with Luke. How does the idea for Margaritas and Bloody Marys come in? And then there's such a great story that's on the website of, where did Brewts come from? Because someone might think like brute strength, it's coming from Muay Thai. Not even close. So tell us where this idea came from for you and Luke.
Yeah, so really Luke is kind of the mastermind behind like the recipe building of the business. He inherently has like really, really great like profile taste and like elegancy about how he perceives tastes and recipe concoctions. He's just really, really good when it comes to that. And he really doesn't have any like professional like bartending background or anything like that. But he built this Bloody Mary, the two of us did in our kitchen in LA. And long story short, we started taking it to friends and family parties in LA, and people were like, this is amazing. You should sell this. Like people started to ask to buy it from us for events that they were going to. And we just kind of thought.
So truly grassroots.
Yeah. And I was really at the end of my fighting career. Honestly, they overlapped so perfectly that I retired in November of 2016. And at that same time, we were invited to do a trade show back here in Michigan. It was like a food and wine show. And Luke and I said, if we can make this happen, if we can get labels printed, whatever needs to happen, let's do this trade show. Let's fly back to Michigan together where my family is. Let's do this trade show. And let's just see what people say about it. If they say it's terrible and our friends have just been nice, then we'll know and we'll move on with our lives. But we ended up doing this trade show. We sold out of product in 2 days, and we signed with our first distributor 20 days after the event. So I went back to LA. I retired. It's a pretty big, decent overlap of me personal training so I could pay the bills before I quit to take this on full time. But that's kind of like the short story of how it came to be. And the name
And
of
at that
the
time,
company,
it was strictly Bloody Mary mix at that time, right?
yeah, actually, this company has been built solely. It was built on that single SKU, on our Bloody Mary SKU, and honestly, we took that all the way through 2020. So,
Oh, wow.
it was kind of crazy to think about. But anyway, the name of the company is named after my dog Brutus, that was with us for 15 years. He passed during COVID, but this dog like really took over my life as well. He traveled with me. I got him for my 18th birthday as a gift, and this dog literally lived at 12 different apartments with me. He drove across the country to LA with me in my car by myself. He was my whole life, and this dog was just kind of there for me when I had nobody. And when we started talking about names of the company, I just was thinking of the most important things in my life, and then things that became important in Luke's life as well, as he took on this like dad role to this dog too. So we named it Brewts. And so our goal was always for our dog's like legacy to live on forever. And now it does.
And that's awesome. And for those of you who haven't been to the website, Brutus was a little chihuahua. He probably didn't weigh too terribly much, so he could fit nicely in that car or airplane seats or packages or wherever you were taking him, right?
100%. Yeah, he was 6 pounds, and he flew with me on the airplane all the time. It was like he was tiny, but he had such a huge personality, which he was so much like me, right? It's not that I'm tiny, but like we have big personalities, but we're also super empathetic and, soft around the edges, I'd like to say. So much of him I felt like I saw in me too, which was really fun to see this company now grow with his name like that.
That's awesome. So you start at a trade show in 2016, you sell out in 2 days, you start saying, okay, there may be something here. Tell us about between 2016 and 2020 with the Bloody Marys, and then what led us to the Margaritas, because actually the Margaritas is how I met you through Chris Perkins, which we'll talk a little bit, where he said, these are the best margaritas you're ever going to have. So tell us a little bit about that first 4 years of Bloody Marys.
Sure. So the first years were really tough because I had no industry knowledge, and Luke was running his own company at the time. So we both decided that it was something that I was going to take on and build. And I really just took the bull by the horns and just dove straight into the beverage industry. So I found a co-packer and processor here in Michigan that could bottle for us. It was really small co-packer, but he really took the project on and said he could do it. And it really worked out great for us. But the brand grew and scaled really quickly. So just kind of a couple of years in, after I was trying to build out distribution solely in Michigan, because I was the only distributor we had at the time, our co-packer called and said, like, listen, this volume is getting crazy and we're just this small facility. And Luke and I kind of looked at each other like, what would we do if he said, he couldn't do it anymore for us?
I'm out. Yeah. If he just says I'm done.
Right. Yeah. And with having no experience of the industry, it just kind of put us in a spot where we were really nervous and we wanted this to work. So within a 6-month time frame, Luke and I ended up deciding to build out our own manufacturing and production facility from scratch, also not knowing anything of food manufacturing, which then brings in the degree that we have from UT, from Tennessee, is we went and got our college degrees in food processing because we didn't have a clue what we were doing. So in a 6-month time
period. So that
period,
actually happened while you were running the business. You went and got these degrees saying, we've got to learn this. Actually, probably a little bit before AI and the YouTube videos and things like that, too. It's probably starting to come in there. So you're like, might as well go to school and figure this out.
Yeah. And we did learn a lot from Google, but it's amazing to see how far even that's come, like you just said, in 6 years. Is we really spent a significant amount of our time saying, like, how can we learn this ourselves from scratch, and who can we talk to that's in the industry that can help? And honestly, the two of us really just figured it out. So we built this entire food manufacturing and bottling facility from the ground up in a bare bones warehouse. It took us 6 months, and we ended up, getting all of our, not only our local licensing to run the production facility, but we ended up getting FDA regulated and licensed as well. So the production facility that we built literally could produce anything you wanted, and we were just doing Bloody Marys. So yeah, from there, that really is what opened the door for us to say, like, what more can we do with this business now that we have gained some traction and we have an insight to what the beverage industry looks like. So after that, then, COVID hit, and that was a little bit of a blur for everybody, but we just kept doing what we were doing. We really pivoted to selling online, and maybe I'm getting ahead of myself here, but then really came the brainchild and the idea of the margaritas. We just felt like, what's the easiest transition for this business? And honestly, to be candid with you, we just drink a lot of margaritas.
So I want everyone to listen. A couple things there that were so important. One, they identified the risk of we're relying on this gentleman that was very helpful early on that went all in, but that was your whole distribution system. So you take the chance to start the business, then you take the chance and the risk to build out from the ground up your distributorship and the facilities. And then you say, seems like every night we're drinking margaritas. What if we just add, maybe not every night, but just what if we added that to the SKU? That's really how it came about.
Yeah. And honestly, I felt like I had a grasp. I felt like I had somewhat of a grasp of the industry, even from being in it in a short time, and honestly just self-taught, like zero experience in this industry. So I think I might have told you before, a vast amount of like what I've done to build this business has like been on trial. So it's a lot of getting in front of a consumer and saying, like, what do you like and what do you not like? And we've done so many events and so many pop-ups, and this business was built on farmers markets and like some grassroots, me walking into stores and opening them. But really it was people being like, what's next? People always want that for innovation. They always want something exciting coming. So we found that, people that we met at pop-up parties and events were like, what's happening next? What are you guys doing next? So we always wanted to transition but add to from the Bloody Marys, because it's such a niche industry. So we as margarita drinkers were like, this is an easy transition. Not only do we feel like we could do this really well, but like we see the rest of the industry drinking them, and it just felt kind of like a seamless entry, to be honest with you.
That's awesome. And now when people keep saying what's next, so hopefully everyone's going to Brewts website by now and they can see this, but there's multiple different types of margaritas. So is that the what's next, or is there other lines coming? And maybe you can talk about the RTDs that I had to Google that the first time you said that, because you use an acronym. I'm like, yeah, okay, I know that. And then I had to go, okay, ready to drink. Got it. That was simple. I felt stupid, but I'm glad I didn't ask you in front of you. But tell me, how do you keep coming to the what's next versus saying, okay, we're doing well. You haven't quite hit, when you say that critical mass of, it's just been this 10-year journey that's been incredible to watch. And I've had so many people say this is going to be, a unicorn. So you're getting closer and closer, but how do you focus on the existing, but also giving people the what's next?
Yeah, it's such a great question. It's the thing that I really lose sleep over at night is like, we know what's coming next. First and foremost, the RTDs, the ready to drinks, which sometimes I forget now that I've been in this industry that like the lingo is just like beverage. So I apologize. You should have asked me. So the ready to drinks are coming May of next year. So what we'll do is we'll put real spirits, real tequila into our current margarita mixers and can them. So as we keep progressing with our mixers and we keep adding like really great, unique but staple flavors to our mixers, our DSD, our distributing partners, and our consumer, now they have really guided us on innovation, to be honest with you. And we have such a really great like kind of cult following that we really trust our consumer at this point. 8 years, 9 years in, we have really significant customer base that we're like, what do you want to see? Between them and distribution partners, it usually really opens up the door for innovation. And people that know Luke and I know we're not your like traditional innovators. We're not like coming out with these crazy SKUs and doing these like really out of the box ideas. We're doing really classic, well thought through margarita or mixer cocktails mixers in general, but we feel like we're doing them so much better than other companies because we're putting so much into it. And when I say that, I mean we put a lot of time, effort, and money into what you get in that bottle. It's not just your average ingredients. We spend a lot of time making sure we're sourcing only the best for the consumer. So our consumers and our distribution partners continually say, when are we putting tequila in this and like calling it a day? So we can just bring this out onto our bow and like nobody has to be the mixologist or the bartender. Yep. Yes. So that's a very easy transition for us. It's something Luke's been working on for years, but every single thing that we do in this company, we want to make sure that we're doing it right. So we're taking our time to make sure that the tequila is sourced well. We're making sure that our branding is on point. So it really sets itself apart in the industry. So that's long story of it. That's the next step for us. It is RTDs in May of next year, while still really hyper focusing on our mixers because it is the core of our business. And we feel like everything is originating from that. So that really needs to have a lot of attention on it still. And we'll do that as we continue to build out the business. We're still in such a small footprint that there's so much more to go.
See, and I love that. We're hopefully everyone taking notes, and make sure you end up liking the episode if you're watching. And this is enjoyable because we're going to get into some deeper leadership topics. But she said focusing on the core business, making sure not to stray too far from what got you there. And as a business owner, it's important to keep the lines of revenue that are consistent and loyal, going to that loyal client base. We just saw some pretty major screw ups on client bases on some national based firms that you don't want to have that piece. When you think of learning this on your own, and then as a woman entrepreneur, a woman business owner, and part of the reason why I'm putting the woman in front of it, because this is National Women's Own Business Month in October. Did you ever feel taken advantage of, not taken serious? Did you find it was harder to navigate? I mean, Luke's always been there by your side, but I think you are correct where, your personality type like Brutus and et cetera, being the out front, person. How did that feel going to the trade shows or going to the pop-ups and then trying to deal in an industry where you're unfamiliar, as this great up-and-coming female business owner?
Yeah, you're right in saying like Luke has been such an amazing advocate for me and for us being a women-owned business from the very beginning. And like that's something that a lot of women business owners don't get. So I'm really fortunate in having a partner that has my back 100% of the time. And not only that, but like I said, it's out there advocating for me. And like, you can't ask for anything more than that. Beyond that, to be totally candid with you, is where my martial arts background really comes into play. Is I'm so fortunate that was such a big part of my life because it set me up for being in a male-dominated industry and holding my own. So when I was in my martial arts career and fighting, it was very, very uncommon to see a woman at that time fighting. It was like the beginning of women even being in the UFC. So I was fighting during like the Ronda Rousey period. So people were just like mind blown by women being able to fight. And I remember it being really significantly difficult for coaches in LA, coaches in London, coaches in Thailand saying, where are we going to find a woman that wants to fight this 6-foot woman that weighs 130 pounds? Like it was difficult. The pool was small and we would have in LA, we would have women pull out of fights. It was a really difficult time, but it set me up to be the business owner that I am. And I spent, years training and sparring and having coaches that were males that I knew how to hold my own in that industry, but that industry really taught me how to do that. And it was a very easy transition for me. And as you know, just from knowing me for a really short amount of time, like I don't have a problem entering the room. I don't have a problem standing, like making sure that I stand out in front of a room of men. Like it's inherently not a problem for me. So I'm blessed to feel that way. Not to say that knowing what it's like to be a woman in this industry has not become very apparent in meetings at times, but I'm blessed to know where I stand and at least know what I'm capable of.
You know, what's awesome, as you were saying that, I picture, the coaches having to take some risk or chances on you because, again, their reputation. Okay, am I really going to train a woman when that was new? You'd mentioned Thailand. My son just moved from Bangkok to India, and he would go to the Mai Tai fights, quite a bit there in Bangkok.
Yeah,
So I'm
amazing.
picturing him going, "Hey, you should have seen this 6 foot Grand Rapids woman kick some butt over there. That would have been, would have been fun." And I think the other bigger thing, I've had the pleasure of meeting Luke a number of times, and not only to have a strong advocate, but also, at least from what I've seen, not intimidated by your success or what you're trying to build together or do that he knows for the business to go where it needs to go, that you will be more front and center and not only an advocate, but I almost picture like a cheerleader, driving. And you've always done such a good job, though, of recognizing him whenever we've talked. And even in that group, up there in Grand Rapids, and you said, yeah, Luke just worked on the Walmart deal by himself, which anyone knows, working on the Walmart deal would probably be harder than any Mai Tai fight to go
Yes.
toe to toe with
Yes.
Walmart. You love that. Hey,
Yes.
we're in Walmarts, but Luke probably has more battle scars than you do because of that. Tell me a little bit about him and his support and what that's meant to you. And have there been other mentors, either men or male or female, in your life?
Yeah, I am so blessed to have a lot of mentors and just like people that I've looked up to and people that have really become a part of this business that feel like they've become family in a sense. Luke, obviously, most importantly, right? He's my business partner, but he's also my life partner. So that makes it easier and sometimes harder, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think I'd be able to get to this point if I didn't have his support. And I acknowledge and love that he puts me on the forefront to say, like, Emily runs the show. She has the final answer. She is the boss. And like, I just don't know any other companies that operate like that. And it's just like, it's a blessing that I see every day and I don't take for granted. On the other hand, Luke's role in this business is instrumental. He's our CFO, so he runs all finance and he does it so well. And at the same time, he just takes on these massive projects and these undertakings that really any other company would say, like, oh, we have a group or an entire team that's working on Walmart. And it's like, at the spot that Luke and I were in business, it was like, oh, it's just Luke and I. Like, honestly, we had nobody,
Let me bring in the team, and it's the same people. Yeah.
Yes. So Luke tells the story so much better than I ever will. But like, as I was traveling and doing things for this company, like he's in the middle of Grand Rapids, it's snowing out, and he's like building pallets outside in the snow for Walmart. Like he's that kind of guy. It's like a project comes in and he sees this to be, a life-changing event for this company. And he is like, nothing gets in his way. And it's like kind of amazing about like the team that we are, is that we truly are so passionate about what we're doing that absolutely nothing gets in the way of him and I seeing success. And I think it's what makes us a powerhouse, but also like can be very hard at times,
Yeah, because you're together all the time. And when you think, before we get into other mentors, you'd mentioned just this industry as a whole. And I found it intriguing when we were talking that you'd mentioned Chris Hall, who's CEO of Poppy, and that's Allison Ellsworth's company. Her and her husband had, I remember watching the video of her probably 7, 8 months pregnant on Shark Tank, getting that first initial seeding. And then now she's actually a Shark Tank, one of the sharks. I saw she's going to make some guest appearances. So you have this great role model, but it sounds like the community is relatively tight knit. Is that accurate? And people like Chris, even though he's had such success, even prior to coming to Poppy, that he's been a resource to you and others like him have. Is that correct? Tell me a little about your relationship with Chris and others like him that have already had success in this space.
Yeah, we were super fortunate. Just less than a year, like actually just this year, we got connected with Chris through a mutual friend who also has been instrumental. A friend of mine, Patrick, that's with JP Morgan. He really plays a really strong role in connecting CPG owners to other CPG owners, customer packaged goods, especially in the beverage industry. Austin, Texas is like where we spent some time with him. And that's really a CPG beverage hub. It's really where a lot of like young, up and coming or established brands like Poppy reside. And that's like their hometown. So we were super fortunate in meeting Chris. He was so lovely to Luke and I. One of the smartest people that I've ever met in a very small amount of time. Knows the industry in and out. I still all the time will watch any sort of like webinar or any sort of panel he sits on because I'm insanely inspired by him.
Oh,
He
that's
was so
what a great
instrumental.
compliment.
It really, I mean, really an amazing guy. And ever since we met him, I've been able to kind of, go back and forth with him on some ideas. And like, even in our VP of sales process in the hiring, he was, we would pass some information on to him and say, like, do you think this is a good fit? And he'd say, maybe yes, maybe no. And it's like, he doesn't owe Brewts anything. We're this tiny, small business. And we're just like so fortunate to meet people like him. But honestly, along the way, we've been really fortunate to meet people like him. And Chris Perkins and James Wilson are huge examples of that. Consultants that we're fortunate to have that got us Walmart deals. Like this culture of this team has been built on amazing people. And I like to say, like, yes, it has something to do with me, but it has so much more to do with this team that we're building. Honestly, the fact that like we can, as a group, pick up the phone and call anybody that's on our advisory board or that's invested in this company. We have investors that have changed my life. Honestly, they're the greatest people on this planet, I believe. And the fact that I can pick up the phone and say to them, I'm having a bad day. This is what it looks like. And they're a sounding board. I just don't think you could ask for anything better in this industry. And I firmly believe that.
So what I loved hearing about all of that is, one, you had, Patrick being a connector and introducing, an up and coming business with established. She had mentioned Chris Perkins, who I have the privilege of knowing, who is a former PwC partner and so successful in so many areas of his life. But I would say just like an incredibly kind, good person, for the sounding board. And I'd actually like to say I've never heard Emily say about me insanely impressed. I'm not even sure I get to impressed, but to hear you say that about Chris, that is Chris Hall. I hope he listens to that, because that is like a compliment of all compliments. But that's what it sounds like this community is about, that you're in. And think about, he probably doesn't know truly the impact he's had on you. I know you as a very thankful and grateful person, so I'm sure you tell him that. But he probably really doesn't know the impact of just those 5, 10, 15-minute conversations and someone that's already done it to give back time. So hopefully everyone hears that, just how you can be a life-changing mentor to someone else just by being kind and observant and just offering a little advice. I mean, is that accurate?
Yeah. And I feel like in this industry, I have worked so hard, but I've also been so lucky in meeting the people that have actually, like, I could pick up the phone for, like I mentioned. And I feel like I have nothing to give to these people, right? Like, I'm like, I'm just asking them, millions of questions about the beverage industry that I should already know, like stuff like that. So I am just hoping, and I say this to Luke all the time, I'm hoping that when this business like really gets to the point where it's going to go, that I'm able to be that for somebody, that I am able. Chris Perkins and James Wilson, honestly, are great examples of like what I want to be. I want to be able to get to the point where I say, like, I can't wait to invest in another business that looks like what I was doing, because I know what that takes, and I know what it looks like to put yourself out there and to get that and to have those experiences. And like, I'm so looking forward to the moments that I'm able to provide things like Chris and Patrick and Chris Perkins and everybody that came along the way, that's provided for me, like just a platform and a spot to be able to tell our story, tell who we are, and like give back in any sense, any way we can.
Well, what's great about your personality and just how fun you are to be around, and the excitement, the enthusiasm, is that people like investing in others too when they sense that enthusiasm and excitement. Now, I do know Chris does love margaritas, so that didn't hurt. So I get that, but both you and Luke, you guys have such great fun personalities that when you see people like that on the calendar, you're like, this is going to be a fun meeting. Not sure really what's going to happen, but I'm excited to see these people, on that. So I think that's one of the key traits too. If you're on the receiving end of that, don't necessarily worry about, can I give back yet? Because you're sitting there going to someone like Chris, okay, what could I say? Other than you could beat up someone that he didn't like. Hey, Chris, I still have these skills. Is there anyone?
I do have that.
Yeah, exactly. So is there anyone that you just need taken out? Because I can't really help you, business-wise. But what I bet he appreciates is that every time you're that sponge and asking for questions or having questions, he senses that joy, that enthusiasm, excitement, and he's going to be very proud where, as you said, when this company gets to this, where it's going to end up, because we already see the trajectory. And maybe that's the last piece, I would end up. We're coming up on the end of 2025. What do you see over whether it be the next 1, 3, 5 years? What's this look like for Emily and Luke? Maybe if we're sitting here 5 years and we're having another leadership conversation and you're saying, here's who I am mentoring now. Here's what happened. Here's all the great things. Here's some trials and tribulations. What's that look like for you, Emily?
So scaling is our biggest feat right now. The company is growing. Our Walmart piece really has pushed us into like the next phase of business, which is really exciting. The company just hired our first VP of sales, huge for us. And we've invested into people as opposed to investing into operations. And Luke and I have never had the opportunity to do that until now. And that's huge for us. So our goal is to keep doing that, investing in the right people and the right culture to move this business forward. Our goal is to just keep pushing distribution. Obviously, like I said, our footprint is so small right now, so we can't wait to see this expand into a broader footprint. But not only that, but like the RTDs are really what we're looking forward to. It's really going to be like, I don't want to say the icing on the cake for us.
It'll be exponential growth. It's the slingshot for you.
Huge. Yeah. And when we get into like that competitive realm of RTDs, we feel like we're going to outshine so many of our competitors. And we can't wait to get the right people in place to do that, to really kind of blow that up. So I would say, expanding distribution footprint is huge for us. Adding, of course, more Walmart stores, like trying to get a national presence so consumers really attach themselves to the brand. We're very fortunate to have our amazing following that we do now, but we want that to be so much broader and bigger and exciting. And so that would be our goal, is to really work on expansion, really broaden our footprint. And then, in the very end, we hope to be like that Poppy story, the Poppy success, right? That every beverage industry, every beverage person wants to be now, is like you see us suddenly on the front page of something that we've sold to this great company that can continue to push the brand even further.
Well, and that's awesome. And hopefully everyone listening to this, what's cool when you go to the website, you can just plug in your zip code to see where stores buy you. You can also get it sent to you. So there is the distributing. I saw the ambassador link too, where you can get 10% off as you're drinking this and helping build that cult-like feeling, or the people together. But I think the other thing too is not only is this company run by two incredibly kind, fun, gifted people. Hopefully you get to see Emily's personality and the fun, and Luke has great hair too, by the way. So in case you do get to meet,
Yes, he does.
he does have a lot.
Yes, he does.
For a guy that doesn't, he has a
know.
lot of really good hair. So hopefully we'll get Luke on here
got great hair.
at some point. But it's always
Yeah, you
fun
should.
when good people. Yeah, it's always fun to have when good people win. This has been a 10-year grind. I've been fortunate to be a part of it, kind of really the last 12 to 18 months, and hop on this and see. And it is going to be an awesome, fun story. And I think it's just important to support businesses like this, just homegrown. She said Austin's the kind of the hub. I don't think I've been to Grand Rapids a lot, love it there. I don't think it'll ever be the hub of the CPG marketplace, but it's a good spot.
No.
Good spot. So everyone, make sure that you're going to visit the website, buying plenty of margaritas, and their ingredients are top notch. Like she said, there's a lot of thought in there, very clean, very wholesome on that side. So I want to thank everyone for joining me today during Women's Business Month here in October. This is Ed McGill signing off for LED, Leadership with Ed. And thanks again for having the great Emily Griffin on here with us today. You're awesome. Always love seeing you. Thanks for being a part of the show.
Thank you so much. Great to see you.